What's up, everybody? It's the Crypto Ginger here. Just thought I would take a brief moment to go over a couple of articles that I found circulating that I wanted to put them together and hopefully paint this broader picture. I want to use this as an eye-opener for as many people as possible. I have a lot of new people hitting this channel on a regular basis, and so I want to try to keep people updated on what I'm seeing, and hopefully if this is something that other people are seeing and we see a trend take place, cryptocurrencies could take off at the end of 2018. We can start seeing this trend for the cryptocurrency starting to take off because of what's happening in traditional financing, traditional stocks and investments. This article is talking about the Dow dropping again. And not only did it drop again, but according to the article, that it was hit so hard that it wiped out all of 2018's gains, which means that the stocks really didn't do anything for all of 2018 because they lost it all at the very end of this year here. My guess is that with the tech stocks being affected as heavily as they are, there are people that know things about what's happening financially that the majority of the world doesn't know about. And my idea here, my guess is that these people that are pulling their money out of traditional stocks are going to need another investment vehicle to put their money into. Are they prepping themselves to get ready for example, a move into cryptocurrencies? We've heard that kind of talk before. We've heard people already merging from your traditional side of stocks and trading and investments to this new version of trading and investing, which is cryptocurrency. So we could potentially start seeing that movement happen going into 2019. Now, interesting enough, the month of November has been something that has been standoutish for a good majority of this year when it comes to investments and things happening for digital cryptocurrencies, more importantly here. And I'll kind of use November as a reference at the end of this video. So give me a little bit of time here to kind of get to that point, because I think it's extremely important for especially XRP holders, because I've talked about the month of November briefly here and there in videos, but the one thing I want to talk about, I will link up here with some other videos. Let me get to that point in just a second. Nonetheless, there are people like Pollin here who have stated the same type of issue with the traditional stock markets and watching the charts, because I believe Pollin here is actually a technical analysis type of person. He's the person that watches charts more specifically and not even worried about the fundamental news about the companies, whereas my channel, I focus on like the fundamental aspects of things, where I tell you what we see is happening with these companies and what that could potentially lead into. I don't really go over a lot of charts on my channel here, but nonetheless, this gentleman Pollin, he actually has gone out publicly stating that what we're currently seeing in the stocks, the traditional side of investments, and watching the Dow plunge is based off of key marker points that he's looked at when it comes to the charts. And he basically states that with the Dow, it is currently now hitting what's called a double top. And that means that when it hits the second double top, we are very likely to see the entire thing plunge because of past history and the TA side of things with charts in the past. He's actually made references of that in this article. So my suggestion, guys, is if you have a lot of questions regarding what this means, definitely look into this. Look into Pollin if you want to learn more about the technical analysis side of things. Again, I don't know too much about this gentleman. I just thought that his comparison to these charts from the past all the way up until now is showing that, again, if the Dow is currently hitting what they call a double top, could we be expecting the entire thing to start plummeting? And if that is the case, where is that money going to go? Again, my guess is that it should absolutely be something going into cryptocurrencies. Pollin thinks is the same thing when it comes to Bitcoin. He feels that Bitcoin will be something that actually pulls in the mass adoption of the amount of money that's possibly coming from, again, traditional side of financing and investing. But not only that, when the majority of the world starts seeing money pile into cryptocurrencies, they're going to say, hey, this right here happens to be then another type of investment vehicle that people are interested in. Maybe I should get invested in there. And that's where the mass adoption from your regular retail investors will come in as well. So again, we have people on the technical analysis side of things looking at what's happening with the Dow and the NASDAQ and saying, hey, you know what, we could potentially see another crash happen in the traditional side of things. Again, if that money needs to go somewhere, Could they potentially be looking at cryptocurrencies as the means for their safe haven? Now, outside of this gentleman, Pollin, there are people who are, part of, Ripple, for example, which you have Chris Larson here, who has already talked about things like XRP possibly being the next preventative maintenance for a financial crisis that could happen. And again, if the stocks were to plummet, I would imagine that would potentially be a catalyst for some sort of financial crisis taking place. But Chris Larson feels pretty confident that XRP could be something that helps save that. Something he quoted here, and I want to use this as a reference. He says, 10 years out from the financial crisis, we still don't have the infrastructure, perhaps, to prevent the next one. And I think this is where digital assets can really help, because an efficient digital asset can really solve some of the key problems in global liquidity. The world's got trillions and trillions of dollars tied up in liquidity just to get around how clunky the movement of value is in the world. With a really efficient digital asset, something like XRP, and that's what we believe will be the most efficient, you can reduce trillions and trillions in capital from being tied up. You can make those transfers instantly as a bank or as a payment provider or enterprise without having to have money pre-positioned all over the world. So again, this gentleman is looking at the grander scope of things when it comes to trillions and trillions of dollars that are circulating right now to possibly come into things like XRP, and he feels that XRP could potentially be the better vehicle for that money and that investment to flow through when it comes to digital cryptocurrencies. So good news when it comes to the potential of where that money, again, from the traditional side of things, could lead into when it comes to the idea that maybe digital assets will be the next best investment vehicle for these traditional investors. And if that is the case, my guess is that Ripple, the company, is going to help try and push, those investors to get into things like XRP, maybe even into, different other types of investment vehicles just as well. Who knows? But my guess is that they're going to primarily focus, again, having these investors try to get themselves into something like XRP, the fastest digital asset currently, the coin that has the cheapest transfer fees, and of course, the most scalable coin out of your top performing coins. It is a coin that reigns supreme by comparison right now. Could it change later on down the road? Possibly. Who knows what the future will lead when it comes to cryptocurrencies? But as of now, XRP seems to be the best investment vehicle by comparison. So again, you have Pollin thinking that Bitcoin could be potentially the coin to start mass adoption, whereas you have Chris Larson here thinking that XRP could just simply prevent the next financial crisis. That's huge, and a huge difference in comparison there. All right, now that you've waited this long here, I wanted to go into the month of November, because I have talked about, certain things taking place in the month of November that could be a catalyst for cryptocurrencies. Well, knowing that I've talked about different types of videos, such as harping on the idea of Temenos, the company Temenos dealing with a major amount of banks worldwide, and the possibility that Temenos is working with a company called Deloitte, which is integrating Ripple's protocol into their system. All three of those companies there together could potentially be what helps integrate different types of RippleNet protocols into the back end of banks globally here. And I'm bringing this up because someone brought it to my attention from my last video I posted about Temenos and, again, Ripple and Deloitte working with a new bank called Nordea. This right here is something we need to be paying attention to, because Swift, the major company that we have all been talking about and been hearing about as far as, Ripple possibly being a competitor to Swift, well, this is an article that states that all the major banks that are dealing with Swift company will absolutely have to go through their upgrades by the end of November, which means, and this is more or less a hinted type of signal that we've been hearing from other people looking into or investigating into XRP and what Ripple's doing. This is why they speculate that Swift and all these major banks could potentially be already moving into the direction of using RippleNet or XRapid here by the end of November. Again, my speculation is that we could see something like that happen. Who knows exactly what is taking place, but the fact that we know that all these major banks have have to start upgrading their particular bank system to work right alongside of Swift by the end of November. That would actually mean we have, again, a very, very pertinent time frame indicating that November is an important month for us to be paying attention to. So again, go back and check out my videos where I talk about Temenos and of course incorporating the some sort of connection between Ripple and Deloitte company, and possibly integrating what Ripple has to offer into these the back end of these different types of banks all over the world. Check out those videos so you can get a general idea as to why I'm mentioning this right here. Because again, if Swift has to, or is at least mandating that all the other banks that it's affiliated with has to go through the upgrade in November, that's quite possibly, as far as the speculation is concerned, when we can see the start of a shift in the XRP price point. Again, my speculation, and this isn't something where I would suggest anybody taking this information and using it as financial advice, because I am not a financial advisor and nothing here is financial advice. I'm just trying to connect some dots for everybody. So I definitely thank you for at least sticking it out this long and at least seeing here how these things can slowly but surely be connected together here. So again, check out those previous videos about Swift and the possibility of how that could be integrated into the banks, and then you'll start getting a very general idea as far as importance level as to why November is an important month to be focusing on. Outside of that, guys, again, thanks for watching and I appreciate your time. And hey, if you enjoyed what you saw, please hit that like button. It definitely helps get this information out there to as many people as we possibly can. And also share this content out with everybody. And if you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. This channel has been growing by leaps and bounds, and I could not have done it without you guys. If you really want to help this channel grow, please donate to my Patreon page. Even $1 a month would be amazing and would absolutely go right into my channel to make it more professional for you guys and allow me to create even more content. Thanks again for watching, guys, and have a wonderful day.